everyone. Welcome once again to Playoff Football Preview with Joe and Mike. I am Mike.
And I'm Joe. And here's our thoughts on the Super Bowl.
Joe, so we just finished seeing the aftermath of the Super Bowl. And, oh man, we knew who we picked to win, but it's the way that the game ended. The whole thing is just it makes us like scratch our heads because we were so pulling for the Bengals to win, and there's no excuse. They had the potential of making this a two-possession game numerous times. That's what pisses me off the most about this game is that the Rams were telling the Bengals like, here, beat us. Bengals were not taking advantage of that. And I knew that when the Rams, in their last possession, I just knew it. I told my best friend, watch the Rams score in this possession because you can demand too much from your defense, especially when you have all the opportunity to make it a two-possession game. So, yes, I'm very pissed off, I should say.
Yeah.
I admit that. I won't deny that to the audience. I am pissed off because, like I said yesterday, I'm one of those guys that most of the time I root for small market teams to win. So to see all these celebrities in LA, and I feel like everything was in their favor. They're playing at the home turf. You had an impressive Super Bowl halftime show. It brought back my youth, listening to a lot of these classics.
Yes.
That was cool. I feel like that was my favorite part out of the whole thing.
The halftime show. Yeah.
That was the only.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was the biggest thing I was looking forward to.
Never been a halftime show like that before. That's the first, like anything like that, and it was in LA, so that was really cool. I really loved it.
It would have been more bananas if Tupac would have been alive.
Right.
But back to the game. I mean, I felt bad for Odell Beckham Jr. when he went down with a knee injury. I felt so bad for him because I feel that for so many years he was immature, and now he finally landed in the right situation, going to the Super Bowl, and gets hurt at the wrong time, at a bad time. I felt for him. But he got a ring. Matthew Stafford got a ring.
Yep.
And, you just got to give the Rams the credit. But I just feel that the Super Bowl match was a terrible ending. I just didn't. I felt like a game that there was barely flags. You started seeing them towards at the end of the game.
That's right.
So I feel it was very anticlimactic in that regard. It is like you're watching a movie. The movie's going on so great, and then you get a crappy ending. Yeah, that's how I felt about this match. So what are your takes?
Yeah. So overall, I thought it was a great game. I thought it was going to come down the way it came down. I expected a close game. I'm glad that the guys got to play. Yeah, I think had Odell Beckham not went down with an injury, the game would have probably went much differently. They were moving the ball really well with him on the field. With him missing, their offense wasn't quite clicking the way it was before, and so and they were not able to run the ball, and so they were really hindered. Cooper had to step up in Odell Beckham's absence, and it was really tough on him because pretty much the load was put on him alone, and obviously Matt Stafford struggled trying to work through some of that. I think Joe Burrow, I don't think that they were successful against the Rams defense for the most of the day. The one missed call with the face mask offensive pass interference on the sideline was blatant. Like you said, they didn't call anything all day. And then all of a sudden at the end, they're calling things that wouldn't even normally be called. So, it's really, I felt like the game, probably at the end, if you look at the whole thing, like it probably played out the way it should have played out. But all those little things like that just kind of make as a fan kind of make you like it just doesn't sit well, and so it doesn't sit well with me either that I watched things get, they were tugging on jerseys and nobody called anything down the goal line before, and then there was barely a touch that you couldn't even hardly find, and they call them on that in a critical situation at the end of a game. So to me it's not so much, once again, I said this before, that the ref is deciding the game, but they certainly have an influence, and they can choose when they have an influence, and so that's a lot of power in a referee's hands. And I don't know, that as far as that goes, the NFL should probably look at cleaning that up a bit and trying to make those situations more fair. But as far as, like I said, I don't think they determined the outcome of the game. I think the game went probably how the game was going to go in either case, because once again, had the one call not been called, that the Joe Burrow wasn't tossing up touchdowns on a regular. It just they weren't being successful against the Rams defense, and so had it not been for that one play and a couple other plays, they wouldn't have had any scores at all. So I think, it was a good game. Odell getting hurt kind of evened things out. Up until that point, it was probably going to be a one-sided game, it looked like. And then Odell got hurt. And all of a sudden, I think a lot of Bengals were sort of like cheering on the inside a little bit. I felt bad for Odell. I think he worked really hard and he wanted to contribute. And I'm happy that he got a ring. And yeah, I was cheering for Joe Burrow to take it all at the end. But I didn't see the offense doing that. They could run the ball, unlike the Rams. They had success running the ball, and but that wasn't enough. They got behind, and it's hard to catch up running the ball. So, up to then they were ahead at the end, but only because of that one play. So, take that out, and it's a whole different ball game. But in general, like I said, I'm glad Odell got his ring. I think he worked pretty hard, and he kind of got shafted this year. I didn't like the way the Browns did him, and so it's kind of like, that kind of was on that regard, kind of cheering for, Odell, because what he had to go through with the Browns. And so that, there's some good stories. There's some good stories on both sides. Von Miller got another ring, and Aaron Donald finally got him a ring. Matt Stafford, happy those guys got rings. I think we'll see Joe Burrow around a bit more, but I could tell he's still a young quarterback, and he's got a little growing to do as well. But he's exciting to watch, fun to watch, and I'm excited to see how these guys do next year.
If I'm the Bengals front office, I need to reload with the offensive lineman, because Joe Burrow needs more protection. We got to give credit, to the Rams defense. We know what they did to a guy like Tom Brady and the Bucs, and then San Francisco. But we knew coming to this game that Bengals offensive lineman is just not strong, and then you're going up against an elite defense of the Rams. It was going to be a long night. I give credit to the Bengals for hanging in there, I should say. But like I said, if you're up 20-13, 20-16 in the Super Bowl, no matter the circumstances, you got to put that team away. You just had to. In sports, you just had to do that. You had to put a team away, especially when we're talking about playing the biggest stage in the sport, the Super Bowl. You got to put that team away by any means necessary. They had a running game going, like you said. Joe Burrow, it wasn't a good offensive game on his end, because, again, Rams defense were just impeccable. But if you're Cincinnati, you would go to sleep saying, we had these guys. We could have put these guys away, and you guys didn't. Yeah. So, yeah. I won't be this grown sports guy that will say, "Well, the refs cost us the game." No,
right?
No. I mean, yes, it wasn't a great officiating game in the Super Bowl, but I look at those missed opportunities that the Bengals didn't capitalize, and they had so many chances doing it in the third quarter and the fourth quarter to extend the lead, but they just didn't.
I think on scoring plays, the blatant foul should also be able to be recalled. So, on that scoring play, had there been a review, because all scoring plays are reviewed, or turnovers, if there's a blatant penalty that got missed, they should be able to enforce that penalty on a review. Does that make sense? So and so for that call, it was he made the touchdown, but when we looked, there was a blatant offensive pass interference along with a face mask. So that touchdown is going to get called back, and that penalty is going to be enforced. Does that make sense? I mean, I feel like something like that would hold the refs in check a little bit more if they could review penalties, especially on turnovers and scoring plays. Just add that into there. That's I thought about that.
Yeah. So when the Rams went up 23-20, which I knew was going to happen, I said to myself, one of the two things is going to happen. Joe Burrow, he's going to get blitzed, or they're going to tie the game and then lose in overtime. That's what I basically thought. So, and then the guy that was basically struggling throughout the whole night, Aaron Donald, finally got to Joe Burrow, which I think is hilarious because the Bengals offensive lineman had him frustrated all night. And for him to come up huge at the end, I just thought it was hilarious. But that goes to show that a great player, he could be struggling, but when it matters most, he rises to the occasion.
That's right.
And he did just that. I'm happy for the fact that Matthew Stafford, in particular, got his ring, and Sean McVay, he redeemed himself after that horrific performance against the Patriots a few years ago.
Yep.
But he's still a young coach, and he learned from his mistakes. I think the Super Bowl against the Patriots, he was just doing too much. It was his first Super Bowl as a head coach. He was just doing too much, but he learned from it, and now he's a champion. But like I said, it hurts when you see a small market team not winning. I mean, the reason I feel that way because watching sports in general for 22, 23 years now, you get tired of seeing predictability, meaning the same big market team is just winning over and over and over. And
the Patriots.
And yes, it might sound hypocritical on my part because I'm from New York. So, but unfortunately, I mean, I was lucky enough to witness the New York Giants winning twice in 2007 and 2011. But it's mostly, and it's mostly the media. I would say the media is the most responsible for constantly overhyping big market teams and wanting all the great players to go play in these big market teams. So I feel that the media is the biggest reason why I get so tired of hearing LA this, LA that, or, any other city. So, but I get it. People love their palm trees, and I love palm trees and things like that.
Right.
But still, when it comes to sports, I always see teams that you barely see winning. So I was hoping for it to be a different script this year, but I can't complain. We had no Brady, no Mahomes, no Rodgers in the Super Bowl. Right. So that was something.
That was fun. It was a fun Super Bowl. I mean, it didn't go. I enjoyed the game. I really did. I mean, it didn't end the way I had hoped. Like I said, and I thought that the call was BS. Obviously, at the end there, and I thought that was a really critical point. I just felt like a call was coming, though. It's like you feel like that call's coming. It's at this point in the game you can almost predict that no matter what, they're going to make that call. They could have made that call all day, and they chose to make it right there on a questionable call. So, I mean, it's just funny to watch him play out. Of course, I feel that way. I think most people watching feel that way. Certainly, the diehard Cincinnati Bengals fans feel that way. But they feel a little bit cheated, probably. But once again, if you go back and look at the face mask missed offensive pass interference, you can see these things kind of balance out sometimes. So I don't look for those things to say, well, the game ended because of this or because of that. They still had to score a touchdown. We don't know what would have happened, if all these other things were taken out of the picture. So I think that we can do things, like I said, to make the game more fair and take the referees overall power to change the game away from them a little bit, and especially like in review situations. I think that's progress, but in the right way. I think.
Yeah. Well, guys, there you have it. Those are our thoughts for the Super Bowl. It was a great Super Bowl, a great playoff run. Super Bowl was solid, but the ending was, you know what. But guys, all of you that are watching, now we're gonna be tuning into the off season. What moves will be made during in the off season, as well as the NFL draft, which will be coming up very soon. And so, if anything, you'll see myself and Joe talk about any latest news that will happen in the NFL these next couple of weeks, months, etc. So stay tuned for that one. Joe, it's been a pleasure, doing week by week this postseason with you.
Thank you.
And now is off to off season to see what will happen next.
Awesome. Been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
Okay.